Today we've got a viewer request video. I want to say thank you very much to Atomic Hound for reaching out to me and asking me to cover Dark Crisis Worlds Without a Justice League Wonder Woman, a comic book I was not planning on reading because I'm not a big fan of Tini Howard. I haven't liked any of these Dark Crisis tie-ins for the most part, and Wonder Woman at DC Comics is basically in shambles right now. I wish I could say things were getting better for Dark Crisis or Wonder Woman, but I don't know. I guess this just ruins both of them. These Worlds Without a Justice League titles are supposed to be the heroes in these weird happiness multiverses that Pariah has created, and that's how he's keeping them there. And they're living out their fantasy of like their best life. The Tom King Superman one, I think it's probably infamous at this point. The Green Lantern one, not much better. And this thing is somehow worse than those two. It's just gibberish. Basically, an editor handed Tini Howard a generic Wonder Woman script, and she mad-libbed it. She just put a bunch of random stuff in there, and we end up with one of the worst comic books of 2022. I'll be surprised if this does not make my list of worst of the year. Let's get right into it and talk about all the weird gibberish going on in Dark Crisis Worlds Without a Justice League Wonder Woman from Tini Howard with Leela DeRocca on art. The art's actually pretty good, but the story is so bad there was just no saving it. We open up Wonder Woman's biggest dream, like if she was living out her best life. She wants to see Etta Candy elected as the president. An oh-so-random start to an oh-so-random comic book. Things get even more strange during the inauguration. Apparently, she's not being sworn in like on the Bible. She's actually giving her oath, I guess, on one of Hippolyta's books. And it would not be a female-led comic book if we did not get some female validation. This time, Etta Candy, the now president of the United States, validating all the Amazons in Wonder Woman as if Wonder Woman does not know she's amazing. Thank you for letting me borrow it, talking about the book. It never seemed right to swear on anything else. You and your kind are the pinnacle of what right leadership is to me. Well, why didn't you run for president of Themyscira? If you read Tini Howard comic books, you know there's going to be a lot of gibberish and bad dialogue. This thing absolutely hits the mark. Queen Hippolyta, the gift we give you is because you have defeated your enemies in an ideological battle. Victory in the vote is yours, and you will do this job for 16 more years, and you will do it as an honorary Amazon. So now we're getting some validation for Etta Candy. She's so amazing. Not only is she the president, her term is 16 years, and she's gonna do it as an Amazon. Just really random stuff. And then the book takes a very strange turn. Diana talks about getting drunk with a kangaroo, which is ironically one of the more sensible moments in this comic book. And then she goes and she finds her mom and Bia in this secret tower. And wouldn't you know it, she finds a cruise missile on Themyscira. For some reason, now the Themyscirans are in the nuclear arms race? Like, where the hell did this come from? All of a sudden, there's an ICBM on Themyscira. And you won't believe what this damn thing is for. When you look at the picture, which I imagine you're seeing right now, and you say this, and then when I show you what this thing ends up doing in the end, you're not going to believe it because none of it makes any sense. I feel terrible for the artist because she did the best that she could with the story that was presented, but the story that was presented was so awful, she really couldn't do much to salvage it. Hippolyta is importing weapons from man's world. Can you believe it? Where did this come from? I'm not really sure. What does this have to do with the best life that Diana could ever imagine? Like, this is her happiness multiverse. There's no peace on Earth. She hasn't finally become the bridge between the Themyscirans and man's world, and finally there's an understanding, and they come together, and there's an agreement, and they respect each other, and everyone's happy. Nothing like that. It's Etta Candy is now the de facto dictator of America. She's an honorary Amazon, and there's ICBMs on Themyscira. According to Tini Howard and her Mad Lib auto-generated random story, this is what Diana has always dreamed of. And it actually gets worse because apparently she's being kept away from the Well of Souls because there's a big secret. And she knows something's wrong. She says, they would never let the origin of our kind become so bleak and barren. I feel like I'm drunk from the river Lethe. None of this seems familiar because it's not. And then Dr. Psycho's there and he says, women always turn on you in the end. And she's like, what are you doing here? Give me one good reason not to cut your throat. Because Princess Diana Wonder Woman is a murderous bastard, apparently. And he tells her this story about this war that the Themyscirans have stopped. And then he starts validating the Amazons, Dr. Psycho. But damn, if you weren't strong enough to keep us from blowing up your houses. It was inspiring. And I think for some guys, not me, but some, a little scary. Apparently they were scared of how inspiring they were. We almost killed everything. And y'all proved you really did have the power to bring it back to life. It wasn't some patchouli womb crap. You were really better than us all along. Okay. But apparently they took him off into this prison and they've been holding him there. Could it be so Gaia could feed on Dr. Psycho's soul forever? Nubia, mother, what is this? Diana, come now. You have triggered something you don't understand. How could you do this? Me? You think I would do this? You blame your mother for the cruel truth we all know? The horror we all witness? What are you talking about? It was you who made the bargain with Gaia to save man's world, that this man would suffer every day, that we would feed him like a prisoner, so that Gaia could drink his blood. It was you who gave up the well of souls so that Gaia would heal the earth. Does that sound like Princess Diana? Does that sound like her dream life? Like when she thinks of the best world that she could possibly imagine. She did something heinous. She imprisoned a man and then started feeding his blood to this monster. That's what Tini Howard thinks. And somehow it gets worse. Like you finally get this reveal for this cruise missile, and you're not going to believe it. Like maybe at this point you will believe it because I've shown you just the lack of quality in this story and just how random it is. But what if I told you that this intercontinental ballistic missile was actually like a lifeboat for Themyscira? This ballistic missile is actually going to take the Themyscirans off of Earth and into space. It is time we leave this planet to the men who destroyed it. We will find a new mother among the stars and return for our home when we can heal and liberate it. And hopefully you saw on the top of the ballistic missile, there's bushes because that's Themyscira on the top of this enormous missile. That is not a missile. It's actually a space launch vehicle. And they're going to take it into space and they're going to find a new mother and a new Themyscira among the stars. Tom King would be proud. I can't say that. Diana, disappointingly, does not go to the stars with her sister. She stays behind. She puts the lasso of truth on Dr. Psycho, and she makes him tell the truth. What is it that she really wants? This is what Dr. Psycho says. Who is Wonder Woman if she's not a wonder to those around her? No wonder you would crave a world like this one, a terrible place that only you are willing to save. And she says, what, a world like this? I would crave it? Speak again, the truth. And he says, what are Wonder Woman's desires? No matter how indefensible the world of men becomes, she will choose it because Amazons are her peers, and she won't be wonderful around them, right? She's just woman when she's on Themyscira. She's only Wonder Woman in the world of man, apparently. But to men, you will be a god forever. And that's what you really want, isn't it? To be a beautiful pariah like me. These Worlds Without a Justice League titles are supposed to give us like the innermost desires of the characters. I would say not a single one has delivered so far. Clark Kent wanted to be a terrible father to his son and let kids die throughout the universe, knowingly doing it and preventing his son from saving them. That was strange. Jon Stewart brought his sister back to life, but put something inside of her that would put a target on her back, even though she's a little kid, that would make people want to murder her. I don't think that was a good choice. And Princess Diana, I don't even know what she wants. This was like the weirdest fucking comic book I've ever read in my life. It's not as bad as T. Franklin and like Harley Quinn, but it ain't much better. Better's a strong word. It's different, I guess. It's a different kind of bad. If you read this, I'm sorry. I was trying to take this one for you. I got to it a little bit too late. Hopefully, I was able to bite the bullet for most of you. We did talk about the Tom King Superman story at length and what was really wrong with it. If you didn't get to read that or maybe you missed a video, definitely check this out right now. This thing has been an utter disaster from day one. Coming out the gate with Tom King was a terrible idea. If you don't see it here, there's also a link in the video description.